I'm sure most people are familiar. I see a lot of kids these days. You see really kind of two types of children. You see they're either obese or they're frail, and it's frustrating to see. And my girls eat as much red meat as they can swallow, and you can see their traps and their deltoids, and you're not growing. I'm not trying to make them look a particular way, but they are incredibly strong and dense. They tend to be around the 30 to 50th percentile for length, and they're up in like the 80 and 90th percentile for weight, and it's because they're so dense. They're really heavy. It's made an impact, and we're very happy. I'm just very grateful that we found it and found the diet, and I will raise them like that as long as I can control what they eat. I'm sure you've seen the statistics. Something like 80% of all females who play high school sports will tear a ligament of some sort or have major knee injury or whatever. And I don't think you can build bodies out of oatmeal and kale. You certainly can't build them out of cereal. So I'm excited to see where they go as they age and mature. And like I said, I hope to build a base for them that if they do decide to do a different diet as they get older, it won't have as negative an impact as, say, my childhood diet, which was, Pop-Tarts and cereal.
Yeah, I mean, as far as female athletes tearing ligaments, I mean, there's certainly a high percentage of ACL injuries among females, particularly things like soccer and different sports. I don't know if it's quite 80%, but it's still higher than men by quite a bit. And we are seeing these numbers increase in pediatric kids. When I started my orthopedic surgery career, it was very rare to see a young kid with an ACL injury, and then it became more and more prominent. And I think, and I'm pretty confident that the poor quality diet leads to, worsening tissue integrity and therefore more easy to tear. And it doesn't help that kids are becoming more and more obese, and then they have decreasing strength to weight ratios, and so now they're bigger but they're weaker. And so, they're able to tear things more likely. It's not that the kids are more active or more athletic these days than they were 20 years ago. In fact, they're probably more sedentary, but we're seeing higher rates of injuries. I saw some kids, these obese little girls, 10, 15, 12, 14-year-old girls tearing their ACL, which is unfortunate because they just didn't have much, they had a lot of adipose tissue, not enough muscle to go with it, unfortunately. But I think as far as, the kids go, if you start teaching them early about nutrition, that it's important. Like my parents never talked to me about nutrition. I had no idea. I mean, they just fed me, and I had no concept about what nutrition meant. I didn't learn that until, later on in life. But I started my kids, teaching them early and say, hey, nutrition matters. And this is why we don't eat a bunch of sugary junk all the time. This is why we want to make sure we get plenty of protein and plenty of high quality meat and eggs and things like that. And I think if you ground them with that, you're going to give them such an advantage over their peers, because their peers are growing up, probably like I did, just thinking, convenience food, tastes good, it's cheap. Can't wait till I can afford my own food. I'm just going to buy all the junk in the world and live on takeout food and garbage. And that's a quick route towards obesity for many, for mental health disorders for others, for metabolic disease for others, and it is a shame. But good on you for it's kind of interesting, because you said you hadn't heard about the carnivore diet several years ago, and I'm trying my best, man. I'm telling you, I'm trying to get the message out there, and the rest of us are doing it too. So we just have to, because we're not hearing it from our government is not telling people that we need to cut back on eating processed food in any realistic way. I mean, they kind of vaguely hint at it, but they should just come out there and say. I mean, I think, maybe you don't ban the stuff, but you put a warning label on it, just like you do cigarettes, and say, hey, this stuff's been associated with whatever, disease, cancer, on, and maybe somebody get the message. But we're happy to demonize red meat and all this stuff, and it's a shame. It really is. So you are in Texas full time? You said you're traveling around in an RV right now, but I mean, you're not in the RV right now, are you? You don't look like it.
I am in the RV right
Well,
now. I had to,
oh,
if I want peace and quiet, I have to kick the family out of here. So the
okay.
family is
Okay.
actually hanging out with my mom right now.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're,
So I was on site as a government contractor. I was an owner in a government contracting company, and I was on site doing some training for the government. And I've started doing some coaching myself.
mhm.
I have friends who have just kind of been taken aback by my circumstances. I've always been athletic. I've always been, I got my personal training certificate at one point as a young man, just for shites and giggles, just because I enjoy it. I've always been in the gym and I've stayed there. But so I'm doing some of that online and working with some people. I'm in Texas now. We'll probably be in Texas for the foreseeable future, probably winter here. And then I'd like to get the girls out, see some of the country. There's a lot of places overseas that I've seen that I didn't care to be, and a lot of places in America I'd love to see, and I've never been. So we're going to get out this summer and tool around a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. When I went to Afghanistan, it was never on my bucket list. I'd never said, "Oh, I want to go to Afghanistan someday." But
Yeah.
it was interesting. I don't know where you were. I was at Bagram, and it was, I mean, you look at the background. There's the Hindu Kush Mountains. It's really beautiful to look at, but there's landmines and people trying to shoot at you all the time. So, it's kind of a shame. It could be like a beautiful ski resort, quite honestly, but instead it's
Well, and
you know,
there's time there. It was back in the. I think it was back in like the 60s and 70s. Afghanistan was well known as a destination for hippies going out to
interesting.
probably smoke weed and
Yeah,
ski.
yeah,
I was in Kandahar and and
nice.
Bagram.
Yeah.
I hit basically every spot in Iraq. I did some work with the government, with the agency in Turkey and Syria and Jordan. So I've been to all the garden spots, and I've done a lot of cool things. And it's frustrating as I look back. I always put in the work in the gym, but I definitely wasn't operating at my peak performance for a long time. I look back and think, the fatigue, the mental fatigue, the inability to focus, the soreness, the age-related kind of lethargy, whatever it was. It would have been nice to have known about this when I was trying to make the basketball team when I was 15 years old and put on some muscle. It's frustrating. You feel like I gave away a lot.
Yeah, I just wonder if if the military, we decide, hey, we're going to feed our war fighters meat, and make them, put them on a heavily carnivorous diet. I think that would make a huge difference. I mean, because already right now we have significant issues with everybody on profiles because they can't exercise because they're getting fat. It's crazy. You go to the military and all these guys are on profiles because they can't run 2 miles, or they have all these aches and pains, and they're 26 years old, and it's like, you got to be kidding me, man.